Hello friends, I'm Chris Searles. I'm the founder and director for a tiny nonprofit called BioIntegrity. We're focused on alleviating drought and wildfire conditions through strategic ecology, strategic watering of forests and trees. And this is the final day of my real life footage from working outside of the Garnet Fire near Auberry, California, outside of Fresno, to try and help that fire come to a speedy end, which indeed did happen. We'll go through that in a second. The footage that you're about to see is basically a simple day, but you're seeing me process all these confusing ecological signals. From my perspective, I can't tell if it's working all of a sudden again, and I have to drive out of there with these confusing signals. I'm afraid that the progress we have clearly made in terms of bringing moisture into the landscape through the air, through this stimulated and rehydrated forest moisture circulation, that'll be quickly reversed because they keep talking about a heat wave. The heat wave, it never really gets out of the high 80s in the coming days. And so what I'm trying to do is, in this last bit of the project, this is a half watering day, day 7 of doing waterings there. I only do about 500 or 600 gallons on this day. What I'm trying to do is insurance, is what I'm thinking of it as, that I work on weak trees and sort of isolated trees that tie the whole grove together at my friend Muriel's property outside of Auberry. And the plan is that if her grove holds together well, then when the heat comes the next day, tomorrow, Sunday, and so on and so forth, the moisture that's deep into the system will then counteract that heat wave. The moisture will also hopefully bring rain next Thursday. And that's what I mean. Both of those things actually do happen. We get a muted heat wave, we don't get any increase in fire, and we get rain Thursday and then all day Friday that completely shuts this thing down from any chance of growth. So in the fire, the morning, these confusing signals, the morning begins with more smoke, but no smoke advisory on the phone, and the sky is fairly empty, even though it's kind of hazy. Like I want to see it, and you'll hear me talk about why I'm confused in there. I just choose to carry out my watering plan. I don't want to overemphasize this, but I actually kind of feel like a constitutional sort of confidence that I stick with about these plans, and then, I will vary. And when I don't feel like I should vary, I don't vary, even when I'm not getting the signals that I thought I was going to get on this Saturday morning as I'm wrapping up by doing the last watering. So I carry out the plan, which is, again, to tie together the whole grove as insurance against this higher heat wave, and try to get rain next Thursday. So I carry out the plan, and then as I'm doing the plan, I'm starting to see the reports come in because I start extra early on this day. And the reports from the firefighting teams say that basically things are going great. They don't use that language at all, but containment jumps from 23% yesterday morning, Friday morning, to 69% on Saturday morning. So this is basically, they have been close to confirming that the fire is completely not a threat at over 69% of the site now for several days, and they're able to finally do it. And so it just snaps into place that they're more than 2/3 out of fire danger completely. And then they talk about, again, I mentioned this in yesterday's video, but that they're searching for hotspots. The written reports say that there's decreased and limited fire activity in the blaze itself, which is kind of confusing. There's a few small spot fires they easily put out that are outside of the containment perimeter, so the activity isn't even really in the fire on this day, on Saturday. And then, much to my extreme happiness and delight, the fire perimeter basically, or the fire activity basically closes the next day. So here we are on Saturday, September 13th. I do watering number 7. The acreage total goes up for what's lost that day. But this is after our 3 turning point days, where it sure seemed like on the 11th, the fire was done. Then on the Friday the 12th, Don Fragulio, the section's chief, says that Mother Nature and the weather gave them a break, so they don't have to, fight fire anymore, basically, and they're able to move forward on the containment stuff. That's what happens on this day then. Then the acreage total actually goes backwards tomorrow. They gain acreage in the official reporting, and the final day of acres lost is Monday, the 15th. So I reported that, throughout everything I've been saying so far as Tuesday the 16th. It's actually Monday. So it's really just 8 days from the time that I start watering that this out of control fire goes out. They say on Sunday that the fire stays in the footprint. They say on Monday that there's no growth of the fire. And then that's it. On Tuesday, it's just the fire number, the number of acres lost per day stays the same for the rest of the history of this fire. They never change the official total from Monday onward. And again, on Thursday, they get rain over the site, then it's a light rain, and then Friday, a nice soaking rain comes. They end up with a total of 1 inch of rain for the month over those 2 days, which is, they normally get 1/10 of an inch, so that's 10 times more rain than they normally get in the month of September, which is another anomaly that matches all these things. Sorry about all these lines here, but I'm trying to tie everything together to show you that I started on Sunday the 7th and finished on Saturday the 13th, and the fire was done by Monday the 15th. And we'll get into all this in the official report. I hope you enjoy watching this footage, and thank you as always for tuning in and checking it out. More to come. All right, good morning. It's 6:05 or so a.m. And I just had a long discussion with ChatGPT. And got all excited and told me that the data confirms that we had a huge effect on reducing the fire and bringing in good moisture. I didn't do any nighttime stimulation, honestly, because I was afraid I would interact with the bear. I didn't want to see the bear in the dark. But this tall pine over here is my focal tree to sort of wrap things up. So I'm gonna head over there. I put water on it last night as it was getting dark, and there's a good sized deciduous motte right next to it. I'm gonna finish that up right now, the trickle part, and then finish all the water ends and kind of get moving. I should maybe stay in the area. I'm nervous about the clear sky here. We got clouds each of the nights I did nighttime stimulation, and now they're gone. And that's, another verification of the impacts of watering big trees. And ChatGPT thinks so too, for what it's worth. So yeah, I'm gonna leave, and we'll see what happens with this fire. The weather is gonna warm up, yada yada yada. Fire likelihood could increase, but I also think I've done enough saturation here that it should feed moisture back into the system when the heat arrives. And we'll just have to wait and find out. Anyway, gonna go water. 6:29 a.m., still clear as a bell. Well, I mean, not clear. It's still cloudless as can be, I should say. I think I screwed up. I should have done the nighttime stimulation. Okay, 9:44 a.m. I'm about to finish up and move on. I've got one more watering task that'll just take a moment, but I got to wrap everything up. And man, is it hazy. There's not a strong smoke smell. I guess that smoldering smoke mixed with the moisture in the air, kind of like yesterday, but less. And no clouds yet. Probably going to drive away without clouds. And I'm just hoping for the best, of course, you know, all in all. The smoldering stuff, it could be burns on the northwest end of the fire that are still going. It's so hard to tell from their reports. It's a lot of conflicting information, but it's a huge area that they're trying to manage. So I think, you know, when in doubt, burn and cut is how they think of it. And so we're probably getting prescribed fire and smoldering again this morning. Just doing his part for the cause. All right, we're still in a haze. Smoke smell is not so bad, but the appearance of things hasn't changed too much. I just watched the report and read the reports from this morning. I mean, it sounds like the written reports say they're searching for hotspots and they're doing firing to prevent, you know, some accidental catastrophe from taking over. The written reports sound like there is no fire other than the smoldering, and the guy that just delivered the video report made it sound like maybe there's fire on the north end, which is where we are. So they also said basically things are really good, and containment when I went to bed last night was at 23% or something like that. There's a woodpecker. Two of them. Now it's at 69%. It jumped overnight. And he talked about how Mother Nature had done them a favor and they'd move forward fast and stuff like that. I'm taking a chance by leaving. It feels right now moist in the air. And the cool is circulating beautifully on this landscape. And there's my cat. Here he comes. Where are you, buddy? But yeah, so we have the fire nearly contained as I'm leaving, and you know, that's a fair deal, fair partnership. I wish it was contained by strategic watering, but maybe we'll be there next year. And let's see, this morning I spent about 200 gallons total on this big old conifer. I gave water to the weak trees again today, which maybe wasn't the smartest thing, but to me it ties together the whole grove, this property, and should be great for the property when the heat gets here next week. The circulation should improve and all that. And come here, buddy. And on that note, we're gonna say see you later. I got distracted by the cat. Okay. Here we are. This conifer got about just 40 gallons today. Not a healthy tree, but also kind of a long way to go with buckets. So you got the last of the water. This one last night and today got a total about 150, plus some spritz. And then, as I mentioned, this giant conifer that also needs water got around 200 gallons. While I was cleaning up stuff and packing out here, I left these buckets just distributed around. This is a nice grove of all conifers. And there's just buckets spread around here. Try and get more water into the circulation. And that seems to be working. So this might be, let's see, quadrant 1 would be the front of the house, 2 would be the cabin, 3 would be over on this side of the field. I got that tree and this tree and those trees and this big tree and that tree and behind there. Quadrant 4 might be the front of the backyard of the house, rather, which you can't see right now. Did a bunch of trees over there. 5 would be inside the corral. You can't see that from here either. Let me see if we can get a quick look at that. Those trees got focal last night. Yeah, see this big decid, and it's got a couple of good conifers with it. That got about 150 gallons. And so that makes this 6 down here on the other end of the horse corral open area. And yeah, that's it. And so it's been around an average of 1,000 gallons a day, I think, for 5 days. And then today, maybe 500 total. I ran the hose for a long time doing spritzing this morning. I spritzed all of this ground. And yeah, so we'll say 500 easy today. And with that, I say farewell. Thank you, Muriel. Thank you, friends of Muriel, and hope to be back up in this part of the world soon. I might even be back here next week, depending on how the warming trends go. I'm gonna go study the fires and do video probably for the next couple days. So, all right, cheers, thanks. All right, leaving this really cool area. Didn't really grok it when I got up here, and it may not be showing up well on the camera, but it's like a little mountain village, and then Muriel lives at the top of the mountain, or at least the top of the road. And there's tons of cool houses here. Man. Pretty darn awesome. Anyway, thank you again, Muriel, and what an incredible and effective deal to be here, and fun, and you know, restful until the last couple days. It was such a pleasure to get to do this and be up in the mountains. I can say happily, it's not moist enough, but man, is it different than when I came up here. It would take a ton of fuel, like gasoline fuel, to start a fire down here, I believe. And there's always a old dry log and that kind of stuff laying around out here. But the general character of the green and the yellow is that moisture of extinction looking thing. So anyway,